Welcome to Cruise Through HTX. My name is Freddy Cruz. This is a podcast about the individuals, businesses, and organizations that make the greater Houston area great. And today I'm joined by Joyce Wells, founder of Cougar Connection. This is a networking group focused exclusively on University of Houston alumni. During this conversation, Joyce and I are going to talk about its inception, what people get wrong about networking, why it's important to meet in person, and so much more. Learn more about the work Joyce is doing at cougarconnection.net. And if you enjoyed this episode as much as I did putting it together for you, please consider sharing and subscribing to the show at cruisethroughhtx.com.
Hi, I'm Ed Sheeran.
This is Bruno Mars.
Hey, it's Katy Perry.
This is your man Flo Rida with Freddie Cruz.
This is AJ Mitchell with Freddie Cruz.
Freddie Cruz.
Freddie Cruz.
Tell your Chico pick Mr. 305 and you already know what it is.
My name is Freddie, and it's time to cruise through HTX. So let's talk about why and how you started the Cougar Connection.
So I started thinking about it in 2016. My youngest son, Grant, was going to play football, U of H. That was when Coach Herman was still there. And I became a Life alumni member, and then I started going to some of the networking events. Fortunately, a lot of it was all about football, which I'm a football mom. I have 3 sons. They all played either high school or collegiate football. But I thought there was something better. And I was approached by the franchisor in Houston to start a network and action franchise, and he said, hey, would you do a U of H alumni? And I said, oh, yes. And that's how it started.
You saw a need. The
Yes.
need had to be filled, and
Yes.
the timing was just impeccable.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So talk about what it took to get from, okay, this is the need and this is what I need to do, to actually implementing your plan. Like, okay, this is the vision. So now here's what I need to do.
Well, we started with one group, and Grant actually helped with it, which was great. So we were on campus. We went to some of the Bauer alumni meetings, set up a table there, and just started talking about it. I used LinkedIn a lot to connect with some of the alumni. And we just started a group. My first member was, and he would love if I said his name, Murad Ficky. He calls himself Mr. Houston. He's a realtor in Houston. He was my first member, and we just grew from there. And it was just great. A lot of U of H alumni connecting.
How many people were in your first meeting?
Probably about 25.
That's pretty good.
Yes, it was.
That's actually a solid success. I mean, some people can't even get like 5 or 10 people to go to an event or a book signing or whatnot. So 25?
25 people. Had really good attendance the first year, and then COVID. No, actually it was Harvey. Harvey hit. So that affected, as it did, the city. But then after Harvey, we ramped back up again, and then COVID hit. And we did virtual.
Okay.
And that worked. And then we did kind of a hybrid until we could get everybody back together.
Do you find the dynamic with virtual being super, super different? Because I know some people prefer virtual
Yes.
or hybrid. I'm more of an in-person kind of guy. Shake hands, give a bro hug. You know, like what is your preference in a perfect world for all of your events?
In person. I want to hug you. I'm a hugger. I like to touch, and it's just so much. You can, see somebody, and your inflections, your body language
Yes.
is very important. You really know how tall they are.
Yeah.
They're not sitting in a chair. People tend to dress up a little bit more because they're not at home. And then those that are shy, you can sense that in them and get them to connect with people.
Yeah.
So it's real. I like in person.
And the eye contact for me is a big one.
Yes.
Because when you're on Zoom, so let's just say we were on Zoom or on Riverside.fm. In order for you to think that I'm looking at you, I've got to look into that light, not at the monitor.
Yes.
And that actually takes a lot of practice, and it's mentally draining.
It is. It is. So when you can look at somebody and look at their eyes, or some people have a hard time holding that, so they're looking at your forehead, they're looking at your nose, but they're looking at you. And then you can use your hands for inflection too. I mean, you can use that and body language and all that. It's just, you just make that connection.
These are skills and techniques that that so many people just don't have, and it's no fault of their own. They don't teach this stuff in school.
No.
I went to school way back in the day, and I certainly didn't learn it. But you were talking before we started recording that that your son learned how to network through this actual group.
He did.
As awesome as the U of H Business School is, because I graduated from there, it's something they did not teach.
They did not. They did not. He and he will tell people, I am so glad I was involved in my mother's group. What he didn't like was the name, Cougar Connection. He said, really, Mom? And I go, Grant, everybody will talk about it. It's like a conversation starter.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
My 21-year-old son, and his mom, and the name of the group is Cougar Connection. But he loved it. He really got into it. And helped me a lot when we had to go virtual because I didn't understand the Zoom and the breakout rooms and all that. But he really learned a lot of skills from it. And then later at U of H, he went into with my really pushing him along a little bit in the professional sales school, the Sanger Sales School, which is offered at Bauer at the business school. Mm-hmm. And he was amazing. He's my only son that graduated with honors.
Professional selling at U of H was probably my favorite class of
you were in
all time. I took one class on professional selling, and I think it was Dr. Eli Jones or just Eli Jones. Either way, his name was Eli. Last name might not have been Jones. It was Eli, and he was a former radio personality. I think it was at that time when he worked Magic 102. It wasn't 102 Jams. It was Magic 102. And nice gentleman. Brought in Mattress Mac as a speaker. And I just loved the course. It's like if every class could have been that fun, even finance and accounting, I probably would have graduated with honors, but 2.78.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, sales is, we all sell.
Yes.
A lot of people say, I don't sell. Well, you do. You sell yourself. Mm-hmm. And if you always focus on building relationships, because relationship selling is where it's at. People want to do business with those they know, like, and trust.
Yep.
And the only way you're going to know, like, and trust somebody is get to know them. Before you even open your mouth about your product. And that's a problem because a lot of people, LinkedIn, as soon as you connect with somebody's selling you something and sending their Calendly link to get an appointment with you. You've got to build that rapport.
Yeah.
And I think that's just so important. If you're selling yourself, you're in an interview, you're selling your skills, your expertise, you're still selling yourself. Mm-hmm. And it's a very important skill for a young person to learn. Body language, how to shake somebody's hand, how to put the phone down, put it away.
Excuse me while I check TikTok. I don't have TikTok, by the way.
But just communicate.
Yes.
Have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Get to know that person at a meaningful level.
Right.
And always keep in mind helping them. I use the word hope a lot. You'll hear a lot of business coaches saying, don't use the word hope. That's not a business strategy at all. But if you look at that, each letter and acronym, H, helping, O, other people, P, E, excel. So if you always think of that, helping other people excel, then you're more other focused.
You broke my head with that. I love it. Helping other people excel.
Yes.
Hope is a strategy. This episode of Cruise Through HTX is brought to you by my media company, Speak Podcasting, on the web at spekepodcasting.com in our first online course of 2024. I'm excited. It's called PodQuest, Cracking the Code to Creating a Binge-Worthy Show. This is for two types of people, all right? One, aspiring podcasters who want to launch their show on the right foot. And two, unfocused podcasters who know they're unfocused and they want to relaunch with a clearer and more concise vision for who their ideal listener is. It's futuristic, it's interactive, we got some really cool video content for you, and it's using storytelling techniques. As you know, I've written 3 novels over the past 5 years, and so this right here was super fun for the team and I to create. And we can't wait for you, the future podcaster or current unfocused podcaster, to enroll and take the course. Check it out at speakpodcasting.com/podquest. I am one of those people who doesn't like using the word hope. But at the same time, you kind of have to have it.
Yes.
And not kind of. I mean, you do.
We need it more now in this world than anything.
Yeah.
Giving people hope.
So much going on in this world, and I think it's whether you call it hope or whether you call it your North Star or your purpose, your lodestar if you want to get fancy. But I mean, there has to be something to glom onto that can help you when things are not necessarily going the way you planned or the way you wanted. You know, the world doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you deserve.
Yes.
You know?
So if you use that strategy, when those things are happening to you, that you're down or you missed an opportunity or whatever it is that hasn't worked out for you, or you missed that sale, if you will focus on somebody else and give them a lift, maybe it's a talk or some sort of expertise or words or just a smile and a that-a-boy, whatever it is, then you're naturally going to feel better as well. That's the added gratitude that you can have with just helping somebody else.
A smile and a compliment can go so far.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So what else do you all do when you meet up for Cougar Connection besides make your son blush about the name of the networking group?
We introduce each other. We do an activity, a different agenda every month, and we're always create value. So every member leaves with value or guest. And so they don't call it network in action where we sit still and listen to somebody talk to us for an hour. They get up, they move, and they build relationships with the other people there. Mm. And myself and my husband as leaders, we're moving people around. And then at the end of the meeting, we're always having them make a connection. We'll say, you need to schedule a one-on-one. Hold up my phone. Let's do this before you leave. Or they do it after the meeting. Whether they're their guests or they're a member, we always want them to build connections and further the conversation after the meeting.
What is the one mistake that you have seen over and over and over as the leader of a networking group that you're like, can we please just not do this?
Go on for 3 minutes and try to sell your product.
Oh, my goodness.
It's like, I want to walk up to him and go, back up. Yes. Even though you try to counsel people before they start, I call any prospective members that are coming. I let them know what this is going to be like, what we're going to do. But some people they want to do it. I've seen people pass out pamphlets or advertisements in the meeting, and I've walked right behind them and picked it all up. We just don't do that. That's not what we're there for. That gives networking a bad name. I wish we didn't even use the word networking.
What would you use instead?
Gathering.
Gathering, okay.
Gathering, probably.
Yeah.
Or connecting with purpose. I would not use networking because it's got a bad connotation with it. how it is. I don't even give anybody a business card or even a virtual card unless they ask for it. So if I met you at a networking event or a chamber event or, I don't know, at a restaurant, you were standing there and I thought you looked interesting and I stopped to talk to you, I would not give you my card. I would strike up a conversation with you. I'd want to know all about you. And at the end, I go, you know what? I'd like to further this conversation with you. I think I might be able to help you. If it's a very genuine connection and I'm being very authentic, I'd say, do you have your contact information, a card or a virtual card? And then I would get it from you, and then I would reach out to you and contact you. I would never give you my card unless you asked for it.
No card, no sales brochure, no flyer.
Nope.
I mean, sometimes people just can't help themselves. Now, I want to ask, because now I'm very curious. Do you find these to be within the people who sort of violate this rule, right? Because we're there to network and build relationships. No hard selling. Is there a particular industry, or maybe is it more popular with people who are well established or people who are just getting started? Because I don't want, for lack of a better term, maybe they're just desperate to kind of get that sale that they want. They need to make budget or whatnot.
Yeah, they need to make their budget, or their it's close to the end of the month. You see it a lot. But it's usually somebody new that has not been in sales for very long.
Gotcha.
Or it has not been in business development. They tend to be, there's two ways of looking at it. There's relational or transactional. So they're being transactional. And nobody wants to talk to somebody and being transactional, right?
That is true. Yeah, absolutely. It seems like networking is more along the lines of personal branding. So what you talk about with selling and networking, it really goes back to personal branding and how you want the world to see you, how I want the world to see me, and how I want to represent myself and my company in the public space.
Absolutely. Because in most instances, you're not going to an office anymore to see anybody. You're either having a virtual conversation with them, or you might be at an event. Maybe it's an industry event where they're there. So it's your first impression. You only get one chance to make a first impression. And usually, in most instances, somebody makes a first impression about somebody within the first 10 seconds.
Yep.
And it's not very kind to do that sometimes, because you don't know the content of their heart and you're looking at their outward. But what comes out of your mouth is part of it.
Yeah. And the other parties, to your point, we're lacking. So let's say John Doe walks into a Cougar Connection meeting and you and I are the first two people there. John Doe walks in. We don't know the entire context of his day. He may have had a garbage day,
yes,
where he maybe lost a big account and he's just, he's coming because he needs he needs the hope.
Yes.
That everything's going to be all right. And he's like, well, you know what? Just try and sell.
And I've had that happen to me, and I will redirect him to something else, or I'll connect him with him. So one of the things we do is, for instance, if you're in marketing and you're looking for clients that you can work with to help them with their marketing, I may not know somebody right that has an official need right now that they need your services. However, they might be someone that would be a good referral source for you, just somebody I think would be a really good connection. So I'll create a connection between those two people.
Yeah.
And that way you and that person can start that conversation and build that relationship. And it's probably not the people that they need the business, but they know somebody. So everybody knows 200, 350 people. It's their strategic alliance, their inner circle, their connections. The majority of people know between 250 to 300 people.
Okay, how much truth is there to... I'm trying to remember where I heard this, but it's when you're selling your business, not selling your business, but when you're in sales, you're trying to make when you're trying to convert people.
Convert, right.
Yeah, when you're trying to convert, it's not going to be your first degree connection. So let's say it's not going to be your next door neighbor, but it might be someone who knows somebody that knows your next door neighbor. So would that be, I guess, like a third degree connection?
Your second and third degree connection.
Those are the ones that...
Look at LinkedIn. So I know you know a lot about LinkedIn.
Yes.
So it may not be your first connections on LinkedIn.
Like an ex-coworker or something.
Right. It's that second and third degree. That's why it's important, going back to LinkedIn, is to keep content and keep in mind on LinkedIn, because you might get a referral or somebody that creates a connection with you just because of what you have said on LinkedIn or content you followed and posted or replied, or your newsletter on LinkedIn. And you can really portray yourself as an expert authentically.
Yeah.
Because they'll always check you out.
Oh, yeah. The truth always comes out,
It always
too.
comes out. It always comes out. But that's just another way. And we really work with our members. That's the first thing I do is I looked at their LinkedIn profile. And if they don't look really good on LinkedIn and if they have under 500 connections, we'll talk about it. And I'll say, why are you not using LinkedIn? Let me help you get that boosted. And let's get you up to at least over 500. So it says 500 or more, and help you with your profile.
All right, so now I want to ask you, because one Gary Vaynerchuk, who I admire a lot, he's like, you should be omnipresent, posting 2 to 3, maybe even 4 times a day is maybe what I've heard, across all of the social media platforms, but 2 to 3 times a day on LinkedIn daily. Is that a lot? How much do you recommend for LinkedIn?
Well, up in the upper left, you want to get out of the red. So if you've got people that have sent you a message or trying to connect with you or send them your page to like, you need to do that daily. I always go back and I comment on people's birthdays. All those notifications, I wish them a happy birthday. That keeps you connected with someone that you may have not talked to for 5 years. Or if they've gotten a promotion, changed jobs, I do that. Posting 3 times a day, that's a lot.
Seems like a lot, right?
It seems like a lot, and you'd have to really be very... I'd rather comment more on people's posts than do an actual post. Or comment and repost, which sends their post up to the top of the feed.
Oh, see, almost
So
like
I
you're
do
helping
that.
them.
You're helping them. See?
Yeah.
Going back to that hope. Mm-hmm. And they really appreciate it. And I do a lot of reaching out to people, connecting with them, and just having a Zoom or meet them in Houston if they're in Houston, because I want to learn more about their business.
Yeah. Well, that's how we met.
Yes, I know.
Send me a connection request.
I know.
I'm like, and it worked. I mean, it's working right now. We're in front of each other across the table from a mic. Yeah.
I think I really would like in the next year do one local big LinkedIn party and have all the connections in Houston that I'm connected to. And then they could bring their connections and just have one big party.
Well, you know what's funny
Wouldn't that
for
be
those,
fun?
it would be fun for those of you listening. Joyce does have more than 10,000 connections on LinkedIn. She's kind of a big deal. And so that would be a huge party. A lot of fun.
I think it would be fun.
Logistical nightmare. Unless we're talking, of course, like 1% of that. Well,
yes,
even 1%
sometimes.
is still a lot of people showing up to one place.
Well, you would you go over to the Kirby Ice House on Gessner,
Okay.
and tell them, do a LinkedIn invite,
Yeah.
and then have everybody, and then tell them, and they, maybe they'd reserve the whole restaurant for you because that would be a big night. They
It
need to do
would
it on
be.
Thursday night, which is their steak night.
Yeah. See, I mean, it would be fun. I love these, kind of like vision boarding, putting it out there,
Yes.
throwing it out there in the universe. Like, hey, we're going to have this big party for LinkedIn connections, and your connections of your connections are all invited.
It would be fun. It would be fun.
Little do we know, it's more than 10,000 people.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Well, Joyce, how do people get in? How do people best get involved with Cougar Connection?
Reach out to me on LinkedIn.
All right, there we go.
Joyce Wells, or go to our website, cougarconnection.net.
cougarconnection.net. All right, it's got to be .net. We don't know what .com is.
Wasn't available.
Wasn't available.
That was probably some other kind of Cougar Connection.
So don't go there. For the love of Pete. All right, Joyce, thank you so much for coming by the studio.
Thank you.
you.
And you're going to tell your audience you're going to come visit one of our meetings
I will.
very soon.
Very, very soon. ASAP.
Yes. Thank you.